Hello and welcome back. Today we are continuing our Russia run that's really focused on expanding the market. Our market is pretty big, nice. Our infamy is low. This is the way things are going. Last episode we did do, this is kind of what happened last episode. We tried to release the East India Company, the East India Company before 1936. I thought that this would not happen before, or I thought that the Raj could not form as long as the UK was at war, but I was wrong. The Raj formed, and so we released the India Company, or the Raj, which eventually became Bengal, instead of releasing all of these subjects under the East India Company, which is kind of what we wanted, so that was a bit of a bummer. China imploded, which actually lets us do way more trade routes with China. I believe we have a land adjacency with every single one of these guys, except for Tibet, and so this is good because Yunnan is in our market already, and so we have, land route to Jili, Hunan. UA is in our market, so we have a land route to Anhui. I guess we don't have one to the Empire of China. This is all that remains. Also kind of funny that they were exiled to Formosa. This episode, what we're kind of going to be focused on is, in addition to just expanding the market, we're improving relations with several people. We still don't have the capacity to bankroll yet, nor are we researching it directly quite yet, but this will probably be after mechanized workshops. We'll probably go for that if we haven't picked it up through tech spread already, but we're going to be trying to get free trade, and then we're going to be trying to get laissez-faire, because we have a market liberal guy here, so this guy will likely not rev. We have been blocked by kind of the unholy alliance between, or the holy alliance between the Orthodox Church and the Gentry Assembly, kind of wanting to avoid, on this patch in particular, having revolutions, because it seems that man oh man do GPs like joining against your revolutions, and we just don't want to deal with it, so we haven't passed Parliamentary Republic. But once we get Parliamentary Republic, we should be able to form a much more legitimate government, but right now law passes are super slow with like this not very high legitimacy, and it's uncomfortable, and so hopefully we'll be able to use both free trade and laissez-faire as a means of making the landowners happy enough to not rev when we pass something that they hate. This type of thing, we get philosophy department. Oh no! Okay. Which is pretty nice. We are having some employment problems here. A lot of employment problems are being created by the fact that we're highly discriminatory. We'll also fix this up to canneries. And so, but we need to pass a bunch of laws. And so this seems to be one of Russia's struggles. But, the strength of Russia, or the strength that we are utilizing, is their wood is fantastic. We have nearly 500 logging camps here, and we get breadbasket. We weren't even trying for this here, but we'll screenshot that, so that's kind of nice. Don't even know what that achievement's for, so let's just take a quick look what that one's for. Unlocked. Let's scroll down and find breadbasket. Pass the homesteading law and be the leader producer of grain and groceries. Yeah, that makes sense. That tracks. We did get the homesteading law earlier this run from, a cheeky exile of a moderate landowner that gave us an abolitionist who, of course, supports homesteading. So that's a big part of how we weakened very early on the landowners. And so, oh yeah, we just want to get this through as quickly as possible. We don't love that it's going to empower the landowners, but we don't hate it either. But yeah, we have a little bit of rebellion. We are trying to let our infamy decay down. We would like to annex Finland relatively soon, and so this is kind of what we're playing towards in the immediate future, in addition to, trying to get these through, this sort of thing. Well, it seems that the U.S. is just choosing to, fall on their sword here, because they keep declaring on Mexico, who is our ally. We have no problem defending them. We have a lot of, infamy right now anyways. We also notably got onto skirmish relatively recently, so we might be hitting the penalty for a little bit, but this is like a suicidal war by the U.S. here into Mexico, this is a big part of why we allied Mexico early on, is because we wanted to have a big Mexico that we could eventually pull in as a protectorate. Now, we can't protectorate them now because they're a major power, but there's things we can do to decay them out of major power, and so we will be trying to do that. But yeah, this looks like a suicidal war on behalf of the U.S. I wish them luck in the death to come, as it were. So we get free trade, which is super big nice. We are running a pretty big deficit, but this is because we have just like all of our armies raised. We get a native uprising, which is a bit annoying, but it's not maximum annoying because we will be able to demobilize our guys because of patch 1.3.5, so that's big nice. We also see we're floating a bit of extra authority, so we're going to do this and look to do that to kind of handle the money situation. But right now we're going to laissez-faire, and laissez-faire is going to be huge because it will give a bigger chunk of control over to the private construction queue, which is pretty clogged up. We're probably going to actually stop adding stuff to the queue ourselves to let this 8 million like start to flush out and look to just expand construction and then let it flush because this is an enormous amount that has become locked up, but it will decrease the amount that's locked up and it will just increase the IPT in general, which is pretty huge. 400k will be subject to a new modifier that will be pretty large. We will just choose the one that let's see, yeah, gives them less attraction. So at the back of the queue here, we are just going to put in some construction centers, and we're going to let these construction centers just go to town on you know, once this stuff finishes, which is just pushing economies of scale stuff, then we'll let it go to town. And when we don't personally put out the queue, it will drain more from the investment pool, which will be nice, at least on that front. And speaking of fronts, we are looking to enforce pretty easily here, except for, you know, not micromanaging the fronts too hard. Fronts split, are reborn, do all this weird stuff, and so perhaps we should watch it a little bit more carefully, but we should be winning this war pretty comfortably either way. Not sure why we have government admins in the queue. They probably shouldn't be there, but I guess we don't hate it. We're going to need them in Shaanxi eventually. We are incorporating Shaanxi, and maybe we can incorporate a little bit more stuff, you know, with this. We have this native uprising. Luckily, it will not be, we won't have to have our fully mobilized army for that, but I'm expecting the US to kind of throw in the towel soon. It's only a revoke, it's only a revoke, what is this here? It's only a revoke claim on Texas, which isn't too much for them to give up. And we get a trade agreement with Bengal, which is fantastic because we're doing a large volume of trade with them. A huge reason we're floating this, by the way, is because we got free trade, and so it refunded an enormous amount of, you know, amount that was being spent on trade. Can we be a little bit more legitimate? We can invite the Intelligentsia. The Intelligentsia won't support this, though, so I think we'll just keep things as they are. We will want the Intelligentsia in eventually. I think we'll do this. We're looking to try and get these guys to, we're just going to take the enactment chance. This will be nice. But yeah, progressing over here, they should be done pretty soon here. And then we're going to look to annex some of the smaller powers that we have currently as subjects. So Spain is calling in an obligation. This is one of the disadvantages of doing an obligation, because now we are going to have tied up with Spain some of our diplomacy points. So in theory, we maybe want to float a little bit less. We also can't protectorate them, so we're just going to be kind of stuck in for a little while. We can end the defensive pact eventually, and this will damage relations, but I think they'll be still positive enough to keep them in the customs union. And so this is why it's preferable to bankroll and kind of do this sort of thing. For the popular playwright, we don't really need you know, the prestige at this point. We don't want the pop attraction, so we'll just take the enactment chance and try and get laissez-faire through a little bit quicker. As far as the next wars go, we'll probably be looking to annex Congo or this type of stuff. We are starting to get a lot of native uprisings, and mechanized workshops is a huge tech. This is a really big one because now we can get economies of scale up to 30, and so this is what we will be doing, although we did talk about wanting to like let the queue cool down and start to spend some of this investment pool. I think we'll just acquire the debt and it won't be too big a deal, but these this is such a big thing because not only is sewing machines really good, you know, and the other one, what is it, mechanized workshops, really good. Not only is this the case, but being able to push all these industries that we kind of have stuck around 25, or sorry, 21, so we'll just, well, this is not quite 21, but we'll just add a little bit on there, and see here, Kursk, we're gonna 31 it here, we're gonna 31 it in Kursk again, here, 31, because the new economies of scale bonus is now up to 31, and so we're just gonna look to push it in a whole bunch of these things. So that we are getting max economies of scale throughput bonus, which previously it was 21, so that's why we had a bunch of buildings just a little bit over 20. Now it's going to be a little bit higher. 31 off the tech, and that'll be a pretty big deal. And so that should be pretty good. We do want to pick what we are researching next. And, you know, Central Archives might be a little bit of one. We don't quite have a bunch of institutions yet, so maybe we don't need it quite that quick. We could push ahead on something. We could even push ahead on shift work, which is a little bit intriguing or appealing. Or we could even push ahead and try and get, like, human rights feminism, start trying to roll multiculturalism. We are having discrimination problems, and so maybe we're going to go labor movement into, oh no, central banking. Let's go. We want to be able to bankroll, so this is going to help out on that front. So that's kind of actually the clear choice. And this war should be tidied up pretty quick. And then, once this war finishes, we will get to do the 1.35 experience where we have a native uprising here, yes, and we have a whole bunch of stand-up armies. And so previously, you would just have to suffer those armies being stood up for forever. But what we're going to be able to do now, and I'm so excited for this, we're going to be able to stand down all of these armies that we have. I didn't even know El Salvador was in the thing. Once America gives up, we'll be able to stand down all these armies. Now, I'm not sure why they're not okay revoking the claim on Texas, but we'll see. But once they stand down, we will be standing down all these armies. All of them. All of them. Unfortunately, there's not a stand down all button, so maybe we'll actually just stand down like the 50 stacks, the big ones, because you have to do it through the character interaction here, where you go demobilize general, can't demobilize one that's currently engaged in battle, but we, for example, him, we could demobilize him if we wanted, which would decrease our government expenses here, which is, you know, a huge big nice, as it were. Why don't we demobilize this guy and just kind of demonstrate it because we don't really need him. He'll demobilize over the course of 4 months. Okay, we get colonization rights anyways on this guy, so I'm not sure why the US is really... Oh, are they not... Do we not have their capital anymore? No, we still have it in. For whatever reason, it hasn't been letting us designate it as a strategic objective, but we'll put it in now. And I guess we'll maybe just try and re-land on the capital, because it looks like we're kind of close to losing it, and we don't want to lose it because we want to enforce, and in order to take them lower, I'm guessing we either need the capital or Tejas. Of course, we already hold Tejas, so I'm guessing we need the capital, and so we'll just put in a triple invasion here. Hopefully it gets through. I guess we can move some of these guys over, because the Mexican capital is all the way down here, but this war should be over shortly here. So it looks like we actually have a bugged out war. We have an America that can't be reduced below 0 because we don't control the capital, and it looks like we control the capital unless the US of A moved their capital. Let's take a look. Did they move their capital? Did they move their capital? Nope, that doesn't look like the capital. Their capital looks like here. That looks very occupied, so I'm not sure why we can't decay them, but this is just a bug. Huh. Well, that's unfortunate. I'm guessing we're just going to wait until they give up. This is not exactly what we want to do, but I think this is probably what we have to do. So we are just trying to start landing in different areas of the US and slowly move our guys away from the capital so that they can just retake the capital and so that we can capture it again, and hopefully this solves up the bug. I'm not sure exactly how this is working, but if we just come up off the capital and then re-land the capital, I think maybe that'll do it. They also might just decide to throw in the towel because they're getting increasing, you know, costs and this sort of stuff. No, it is still bugged, and I'm not sure exactly what to do. We just re-landed here, and so I don't even... I don't know what to do here, other than we can capitulate and get out of the war. But I imagine, like... It's just like, it's very silly. So for Mexico's kind of close to being able to wipe peace, we could capitulate, except they have returned California on us, and we don't really want to give up California, and so we don't really want to capitulate. We would be fine with a white peace at this juncture, but the fact that we've retaken the capital and we now still can't take them down, like, that is the capital. If we go here, it zooms in here, this is the capital, you know, we have it, it is occupied. I don't see how it is possibly not occupied. Does it say it's... like, what is this? I mean, it's got a ton of turmoil, a ton of devastation. We're in on it. And, you know, it's still not going to matter. Or, like... We're also, like, stuck on referral for laissez-faire, which is not the worst, but I was expecting it to fly. This was kind of part of the strategy, and it is not flying very fast at all. Of course, this queue that we've built up is kind of clearing out. Because Austria wants a defensive pact. We wouldn't mind an alliance with Austria, but we can't do that while we have an alliance with the Mexico here. We're not super dedicated to that, so... But yeah, this is just frustrating. I don't know what to do here other than just wait until Mexico is willing to wipe peace, I think is going to be what it is, or until the USA is willing to give up revoke claim on Texas. I mean, we could just start, you know... We could just start demobilizing generals. Which I think we'll do, because, I mean, we just want to save a little bit of money here. And so... Because it's not like they're going to enforce on Mexico here at any pace, and Mexico's about to wipe peace, so I guess this is the solution. Man, it doesn't feel good, though. Kind of annoying bug. So we just pipped central banking, and we did manage to, you know, wipe peace out this war after quite some time, which was a little bit annoying. Haven't declared a war because we have this uprising. But I think what we're going to do now is maybe end our alliance with Mexico. The idea being we cannot actually protectorate them because they're a major power, and while there's things we can do to decay them out of being a major power, they're not that close to getting out of a major power, at which point we could protectorate them again. And we want to put in a bunch of bankrolls, although we are losing money, so there's that. And so I think we're gonna, well, actually, let's just put in a few bankrolls and then see where we are. So what we want to do is the biggest people who are in our customs union, that are going to be easy for us to annex, which I think is going to be Persia and the Sikh Empire, trying to protectorate these guys. They are defending the borders here in the Sikh Empire. They're defending the borders here, probably. And so we won't bankroll these two guys, but I think we'll try and get Argentina into our trade agreement, so we're going to stay bankrolling them. We can propose a trade agreement. I think that's... Well, this will make it easier to get them in the customs union. And we can protectorate these guys if we had an obligation. Actually, we could just offer it an obligation, and they protectorate, and so that'll be nice, and then we damage relations with them. The idea is once we get down to negative relations, we can subjugate them. And so perhaps we should look in through here and just see who we can ask to become a protectorate. Nobody. Ugh, is the game bugged where it just doesn't show us, like, who can become a protectorate, this type of thing? So let's take a look at another one of our guys. So these guys, we can't protectorate because they are defending the borders. Very common sort of theme here, although we can take on their debt, which is maybe okay. 1.75 million. We could definitely afford it, but we don't necessarily need to do it. But Great Mongolian State, could we protectorate them with a bankroll? We could, or with whatever it's called. So we're going to start bankrolling them. If we get them up to friendly and then have an obligation, we will be able to protectorate them. Let's take a look at Japan. We can't protectorate them because they are major power. So we're going to continue to look around and just look for kind of the biggest guys that we can possibly protectorate and try and see if we can protectorate them. Ooh, Brazil left our market. That's kind of big sad. Let's see how easy it is to get them into our customs union. It's not. When did they leave? I didn't even notice that. That's kind of unfortunate. I think we'll also bankroll Colombia here because getting them as a subject will be nice. And we do have a little bit of extra diplo. And I think maybe we'll do this for now. We are improving relations with a few people, so if we could probably stop improving relations and instead bankroll them. We are improving relations with Colombia. That one will drop off at a point. That's just because we're rivaling them, but we don't want to get too deep into negative relations with Italy. The Ottoman Empire, let's see. We're just improving relations. Oman, we're going to bankroll instead of improving relations. And I think we had one on Egypt where we're just going to bankroll them and try and get obligations so we can pull them into our customs union, this type of thing. And so hopefully that shakes out okay, but we've now entered a different phase in kind of expanding the market. Unfortunate that this happened. Oh, and this happened too. Sweden was in our market as well. That is unfortunate. Looks like they are not too keen on us, so we lost diplomatic interest. Nope, we still have a native interest up there. But we'll declare an interest here, declare an interest here. declare some interests around and about, and this sort of thing. But yeah, that's a little unfortunate. But now we do want to go for labor movement, I think, and then maybe into some of the tier 3 tech here. Some of the tier 3 society tech's really good. You know, we could also just push forward for some of these. We can not spread the other stuff. Shift work in particular is a bit appealing. So is dynamite and steam donkey. But I think we'll just do labor. We want the trade unions to have a bit of a come up at some point and demarginalize, and this tech will help them to demarginalize, although they're big mad at us right now, so maybe not immediately, but we are going to be passing laws that they like once we start going after the monarchy. But yeah, so this is like a huge inflection point for us that we can now bankroll people. I don't think we just have to wait for this war to finish up and then we'll start annexing Boyos. So a big part of why our eco is kind of struggling right now is actually due to infrastructure problems in both Perm and Moscow, where a huge chunk of our eco is. And we are looking to resolve these issues and over-resolve them, because we have been, for quite some time now, we have been doing the road maintenance there, and I don't think we want to continue doing the road maintenance because the extra construction modifier is probably not worth it anymore. But we are going to be looking to, you know, continue to ramp up the railways so that we can remove, in particular, the thing. And I think that, you know, what we will do here, God, it's been kind of taking us a while here. I think we might actually move the capital to Moscow, mainly because we do want to get the doubling of the railway bonus here specifically, and this is an eligible spot to move the capital. We just have to finish up this war, but then we'll probably be doing that. But the idea of overbuilding the railways is now we have 197 here. We can take off this road maintenance and we refund some authority here. So we can come in and we can do a little bit of extra taxes. We're taxing the luxury clothes in specific, because it's better to tax the upper rung pops. Man, we have another secession here. That's a little annoying. We've had several down here, but we get our war on Finland, so we're pretty okay with it. And already you're seeing the economy starting to recover as we fix the infra in Moscow and the other place. So we get laissez-faire just now, and immediately you see we are now running a positive balance because the investment pool, instead of growing, is now draining. Now you want to consider your balance this plus this, so we don't quite want to add more construction yet because we still are running effectively a negative 75k balance. But now, as you know, the private queue takes over more stuff, you know, it is allowing this. Oh, I forget, it takes a second to adjust. The extra IPT we're getting, which it looks like it's another 75k IPT, something here, which this big hitch up is from laissez-faire, which is going to be super big nice. Also decreased interest rate. If we take a look at the interest, that's shot down as well. Laissez-faire is very strong on all these fronts, so we're super pleased to have gotten it through. And because this guy's a market liberal, he's very unlikely to rev. He's super happy with us now, even when we do something like this. Put this guy in, and then go for Parliamentary Republic, which, oh man, it's unfortunate the trade unions doesn't support it here. Is there a difference? No. That's unfortunate. Or not the trade unions, the industrialists. The trade unionists does support it, but they're marginalized. But we'll just go for it anyways. And the important detail here, now that we've passed several things that the Gentry Assembly like, it's only going to bring them to 0 instead of down into, you know, a point where they're going to rev. So the Orthodox Church might rev, but the other guys won't. And so we should be able to get this in. We have this native uprising. We're still going after Finland here, but things should be looking reasonably well from here. Maybe we'll add a little bit more construction. Maybe we'll just let that drain down a little bit, especially because, you know, we have this investment pool to drain out first. So maybe we want to do that a little bit. So now that we're at peace, we move the capital to Russia, which will give more pop traction, or sorry, more universal pop political strength, as well as taxation capacity. We were building up in Ingria, our university, so this is a little bit awkward because we want to have our university where we have our capital for the extra political strength for the Intelligentsia, but it looks like the Intelligentsia are doing okay, and so maybe we'll just have 2 level 51 unis at some point and handle this way. As far as expansion expansion goes, we're going to annex Orania here, and they are going to be joined by their faithful ally, Transvaal. And since it is an annex, Orania is very unlikely to back down. I've only seen like 2 backdowns on an annex play, and so we will also take this opportunity to dominion Transvaal, which we were thinking about trying to acquire diplomatically, but this just seems a little bit more straightforward, and it's really valuable dirt, and we can afford the infamy currently, and so we'll do that. We get some rubber rushes, big nice, and so far, we are about to hit our first, we'll take the rifling progress. We're about to hit our first progress on Parliamentary Republic. We only have 16% chance. This is on the back of the Intelligentsia, so the Intelligentsia are going to be, you know, a critical point or a feature for us to be able to do this. We're going to just send another guy in case the front's split funny. And we get unlucky. God, that's annoying. That's pretty obnoxious. I think that because we're stalling here, we're just going to do this, and we're going to come off of it, which is unfortunate. We could go for Presidential Republic. Not a huge fan of Presidential Republic, but what we can do is we do have some, well, first of all, let's see if we have any reasonable-looking reforms. Now, I think we'll keep this government. We want the Intelligentsia in, and I think we'll go boop, boop, boop. I think we're going to try and go proportional taxation, so we're going to need the armed forces, actually, or the rural folk. So maybe something like this. The armed forces are reasonably strong, and we are going to, this will also put us over 77, so that's kind of nice. And we'll just try and get proportional taxation here. This is one of the more important passes, and you know, it seems reasonably good. It is going to upset these guys, but these guys are still so happy with us from what we've just passed a little bit before that they're not going to care enough to want to do anything inefficient agriculture. Yeah, I know, bro. And so, the economy is starting to, like, look pretty good here. Buildings are getting built. The private queue is taking up a whole bunch of stuff. We do have the investment pool coming on up. Why did the game pause? Did I pause it? Okay. Losing my mind here. But yeah. Also, we were running a huge bureaucratic deficit. It looks like this is now solved because we are now getting the bonus from the petite bourgeoisie. The reason we were running a deficit was because we moved the capital. But yeah, now we're getting a bonus, and the loan interest rate is just so good. So big happy on getting this through. Is there a way to put those guys in government too? Because I know they do support it. So these guys all support it, but it would make stuff go slower. The rural folk don't support it? I thought they supported it. Are they just mad about other stuff? They are just mad about other stuff. Okay. But we can put them in gov. It just won't be very legitimate. But it will give us a lot more chance on proportional taxation, which will be nice. And so hopefully we can kind of get some progress on that relatively quick. So we have the first fruits of our labor of getting an obligation with a bankroll from the Netherlands, who now we can use this obligation to change to our market, which is going to be super nice because it will pull in their subject as well. And we annex Orania. On top of that, I think we'll go after Congo next. We will incorporate them and reset their production methods here. But then we will go after Congo, I think, is going to be one of the better annexes here. Spain may side with us. Okay, well, that's fine. More than happy for that to happen. We are waiting on Netherlands has accepted our request. Let's see. They are a country in the Russian market now, and so the customs union continues to grow despite the fact that we did lose out here. We are staying on low infamy. I think we're going to conclude the episode here. You know, the big feature of this episode was both getting central banking, which is pretty good for us, especially because we're running a big deficit. It does give minus loan interest rate, so this is pretty nice. So it went down from like 20% to 18% on the base, which is then modified by other modifiers, as they do. Minting's nice too, because we are kind of gold heavy. So we got that, and more importantly, it lets us bankroll, and so we are running a bunch of bankrolls now. A little bit of cash money action to try and pull people into our customs unions and then protectorate them. Now, we can't protectorate the Netherlands because they are a major power. They will probably decay to minor power at some point, but because they are not kind of at that point yet, we will just stop this bankroll, and we will look to try and see if we can get anyone in the customs union before we go here. And look, we can pull a lot in if we offer them an obligation, but what we can instead do is we can try and bankroll these guys to get them in, like Zai Bei. We could do it with an obligation, but we would rather kind of earn an obligation for them, so we'll just bankroll them and look to pull them into the customs union. That way it's easier to, protectorate them later. One problem is these guys will often, the Chinese guys, I'm assuming, will often be defending the borders. These guys in Yunnan are not, which is a little bit surprising, and would be really good if we could, protectorate them here. If we had an obligation on them, we could. And the idea is you protectorate and then you dominion, and the dominion will only cost 25% of the infamy it normally otherwise would, which is the whole idea here. So yeah, we fought USA, we got central banking, we're bankrolling now, big customs union, big happy. And so that's kind of where things are going.